I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. China is backing Syria's quest to recover the Golan Heights. According to an AFP report, Chinese Foreign Minister Yang Jiechi wrapped up a regional Middle East visit to Damascus on this past Sunday, saying that Israel should return the Golan Heights to Syria. This is a quote by Yang. China supports Syria's efforts to recover the Golan, which, of course, Israel seized during the 1967 war and then annexed it in 1981. While Yang was visiting Syria, a split appeared on Sunday within the Israeli government of hawkish Benjamin Netanyahu on the possible peace negotiations with Syria. Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak said that Israel had an interest in holding talks with Damascus, in an apparent rebuke to comments made by Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman. Now, Mr. Lieberman, of course, has said we cannot negotiate with Syria as long as Syria demands that we first give back the Golan and then we'll talk. See, Syria says, you give us the Golan and we'll talk. Israel says, let's talk so we can give you back the Golan. Well, it's a stalemate. And of course, Israel has an interest in normalizing its relationships with Syria while protecting its vital interests, naturally. Negotiations, Barak said, Ehud Barak, negotiations with Syria should always be part of the Israeli government agenda. Of course it should. But Lieberman said in an interview published on Saturday that Syria's support of Palestinian and Lebanese militant groups made it no partner for peace. He said, we need to look at the reality. Until today, Syria is hosting the headquarters of terror organizations such as Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. He told a German newspaper this, referring to radical Palestinian groups. Now, you got to understand that as long as the Hamas have a headquarters in Damascus and the Hezbollah, Lebanon's terrorist group, have headquarters in Damascus, how can Israel possibly talk to Damascus? Furthermore, Damascus has this deal going with Iran. And so Israel is really in a difficult situation. According to this article, Syria and Israel held 4 rounds of Turkish-mediated talks last year, but discussions were suspended when Israel waged a deadly offensive against the Palestinian Islamic Hamas rulers in the Gaza Strip during December and January. China, according to Mr. Yang, will pursue its efforts for a, quote, just and comprehensive peace based on the United Nations resolutions and the principle of land for peace and the roadmap, end of quote. Sponsored, of course, by the Middle East Peace Quartet. Well, the problem, of course, is that Israel cannot just give these things back with no reciprocity whatsoever. There's got to be a little give on both sides. The Palestinians, the Syrians, the Saudis, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, nobody wants Israel to have anything. They just want Israel to give it back. That's kind of strange. Furthermore, Turkey and Syria are now having a military drill, and this alarms Israel. According to this particular report, Mideast report, Turkey and neighboring Syria began on Monday their first ever joint military drill along their border in an apparent bid to improve security. Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak called the move a disturbing development. Today, a Syrian-Turkish military maneuver is taking place. Definitely a disturbing development, he said, but I believe that our strategic relationships with Turkey will overcome Turkey's necessity to participate in this drill as well. Even marking Israel's 61 years, our struggles are not yet behind us. We have to end our travails and reach a state of tranquility. Mr. Ehud Barak said that. That would be nice, but it's just not reality. According to the Turkish media, the military exercise with Syria, aims to boost friendship, cooperation, and confidence between the two land forces and increase the capability of them to train. The drill is expected to last 3 days and will take place along a border area that has been marred by a 25-year-long conflict between Turkey and Kurdish rebels. Last May, Israel and Syria launched peace talks aimed at a comprehensive peace agreement under the auspices of Turkey. And of course, it fell apart. Negotiations reached a stalemate in September after the resignation of Ehud Olmert, and Syria withdrew from the talks in protest against Israel's 3-week military offensive in the Gaza Strip in December and January. Here's another interesting article from Israel Today. The headline reads, Israel must surrender to Arabs or face war. And they report that Jordan's King Abdullah appeared to threaten Israel with war in an interview on NBC's Meet the Press program this past Sunday. Abdullah, widely regarded as by far the most moderate of Arab leaders, said that if Israel is not pressured to meet Arab land for peace demands, it will face war within 18 months. Abdullah did not reveal how he could so precisely predict when the next Arab-Israeli war would erupt, but earlier in the day, he used that knowledge to urge U.S. President Barack Obama to put heavy pressure on Israel to surrender to Arab demands. Abdullah, like Obama, wants to make a Saudi peace initiative that requires a full Israeli withdrawal to its pre-1967 borders, including Jerusalem, the basis for regional peace. Well, Israel's not going to be willing to give up Jerusalem. Oh, some of Israel's politicians will, but in the final analysis, my Bible says that Jerusalem will be a divided city, and the Temple Mount will be a divided mountain, allowing the Jews at least a little place where they can worship. Palestinian Authority head Mahmoud Abbas also chimed in on Sunday, telling Jordanian television that the next play in the peace process belongs to Obama, and he hopes Americans will finally apply the kind of pressure the Arabs want on Israel. He said the ball is in America's court. He said the U.S. needs to ask itself if it wants peace or if it wants to continue the status quo. Palestinians have been paying lip service to the two-state solution, that is, to have a Palestinian state and an Israeli state. But they reject Israel's conditions for peace, such as recognizing Israel as a Jewish state. Now, that should be a no-brainer. I mean, if the Palestinians want their own land, don't you think it should be called a Palestinian state? They might even call it Palestine. And the other state is called Israel. And Israel's population is 75% Jewish. Why not call it a Jewish state? What's so wrong with that? The Palestinians choke on that. They just can't do it. And so, the Palestinians have introduced their own unacceptable conditions, such as the right to flood Israel with their so-called Palestinian refugees. There's about 5 million of these Palestinians who want to flood into Israel. And hey, they'd have the vote. They could just vote Israel out. You remember like the Hamas? The Hamas got in, duly elected, democratic process. The Hamas took over the Palestinian state. And then here's another sad note. Swastikas were painted on Joseph's tomb. The headstone was smashed, the bloody Star of David graffiti scrawled on the walls. Jews who arrived last night to pray at Joseph's tomb, Judaism's third holiest site, were stunned to learn that the structure had been vandalized with the headstone smashed and swastikas painted on the wall. Joseph's tomb is believed to be the burial place of the biblical patriarch, Joseph, the son of Jacob, who was sold by his brothers into slavery and later became the viceroy of Egypt. There's been a group trying to work with Israeli Defense Forces to lead a monthly midnight excursions to the tomb in hope of restoring a Jewish presence to the area. And they say last night a group of 500 Jews arrived to pray at the site under heavy protection of the IDF, but they were stunned to see the tomb had been defaced. The headstone was smashed and swastikas were painted on the walls, as was graffiti of a blood-dripping sword over a Star of David. Palestinians have defaced the tomb several times. Please understand